This is the Balanced Growth Show with Dr. Travis Perry, helping successful business professionals like you achieve balance in their lives.
Hey there, welcome to another Balanced Advisor podcast. Today, I am with Paul Hatch. Paul started as an advisor 38 years ago, spent 7 years as a branch manager, then moved to New York City in 1997, and had responsibility for the entire product area for Citibank, Morgan Stanley, and UBS. He was on the board of Focus Financial and served as the vice chairman for wealth at Morgan Stanley, where he founded 3 firms. His latest venture is Vestria Capital, an RIA accelerator. Welcome, Paul, to the show.
Thanks very much, Travis. Happy to be here.
Yeah, it's a blast. We got to know each other a little bit better in the pre-show, and your experience and your dedication to this industry is phenomenal. So I'll let you tell your story better than what I can do. So tell us a little bit how you got into this industry. Why do you really want to serve advisors, and maybe what you're all about right now?
Yeah, it was really kind of simple. I was a 7-year-old and I wanted to become a Navy jet pilot like my father and my grandfather, and ultimately my brothers and brother-in-laws. I went to school at the Naval Academy, and in the 3rd year there, found out I couldn't see. I was somehow some mutation happened, and all the eyesight from my family went away. I had 8 years to figure out what I was doing, and I was off on a nine-month cruise, and I came back. I left in July of '82, and I came back almost 9 months later. And my father had taken my money that I gave him when I sold my car, and he gave me twice as much back as I sold the car for, because he made a lot of money. And I thought, wow, isn't this amazing? And like many people, tried to do it on my own and found out it's really, really hard. So then I dug in and spent a number of years. And when I left the Navy after 6 years, I couldn't wait to get started. And here I am today.
That's great. Yeah, I dabbled with the whole idea of becoming a pilot. I was 19 when I did my first test flight and loved it. Wow. Absolutely loved it. But then I found out the kind of balance that pilots didn't have, at least for those first 5-10 years. And I said, I want to find a better career. I want to figure this out, and even though I loved it, maybe I can just do this for fun. And a lot of financial advisors I know are pilots. So this has come to fruition for me. I'm going to be starting that actually pretty soon. So that's fun. That's unfortunate for your eyesight, probably fortunate for the industry to have you. Let's talk a little bit about, you've got a couple of businesses. You have a business as an advisor that you're growing and scaling. And you also have a business, Vestria Capital, where you're actually helping other RIAs to get funding and grow their businesses, which is phenomenal. Tell us a little bit about what it means to have balance with so much going on in your work life. What is your definition of balance look like?
Yeah, I will also share something I didn't tell you in things. I'm 65 years old in about a week or two, and I have a 7-year-old. And so life, in addition to having a 30-year-old and a 33-year-old, so life. You really have to have life balance when you're trying to create new organizations and do an entrepreneurial gig when you're in your 60s. But this business is so great, and I wake up every day. I'm super charged up, not only to help advisors, but to really empower them to drive their businesses and be able to enjoy the lives that I've been fortunate to do. And you have to be really disciplined about it, because there are things that have to get done. But what you find as you get older, that the things that make you a better human and make you a better father and make you a better husband and make you a better neighbor are also the things that make you a better advisor. The humility that comes with all of those things. And so I have learned from a lot of really talented men and women over my career that focusing on being a better human is one of the easiest, fastest, and best way to become a better advisor, a more balanced advisor, and a more successful advisor.
This is such a good lane to go down right now, Paul, because We talk about balance, in my book, Achieving Balance, we talk a lot about development, and becoming a better person, and some, traditional methods and some more untraditional things that we bring up in the end there about essentially using your family and your spouse to help you, right? That's what we're trying to talk about. But development is key to balance. And I found that advisors tell me personal physical health, spiritual relationship with God, and their relationship. Those are the top three. Those are the things that really help them to stay balanced when they focus on it, which is absolutely, it's development, right? It's human development. I have a PhD in human development. I know a little bit about some of the theories and ideas around it, but let's go deeper on this. When you're saying, hey, improving yourself, you speak obviously from experience. So talk to us a little bit about how that developing your own and working on yourself, how that's helped you directly to be a better advisor.
Yeah, I think I started out doing almost everything wrong. I shared with you that I was last in my class for the first 2 months of the business. I found something that worked for me. I was an engineer, and so I created my own process and actually hired something people didn't do in the 80s. But then I proceeded to make every mistake that you could. And one of the things I always talk to people about is you learn more from failure than you do from success. And I would like to say I was an unbelievable learner in those early years because of all the mistakes that I made. I found that I was trying to trade, and I found that's really hard and it's really difficult. And more importantly, I was stressed all the time. And my growth rate fell way off when I started doing that. I really only took me 2 months, in which I think I lost 3 years of my life trying to figure out how to trade on a short-term basis, and decided, well, I don't know if anybody can do it, but I sure as heck couldn't. And I started focusing on my health. I was always very healthy. I went to school, at a place where you were required to, work out twice a day. And I was used to physical exercise. And when I first got into business, I stopped doing it because I was trying to call, I was trying to do all these things. And so the first thing I did, because I knew it was the thing I could control 100%, was, okay, instead of going in at 7 o'clock in the morning, I'm going to do my workout. And then so I knew I got something achieved at the things. I started focusing on my health. Then I realized, as you did, that health is more than just what you eat, and it's more than just the exercise that you do. And your mind, while there's no question that both of those other things affect that, there are many other things like prayer and spirituality that and meditation, which I also fell into and found to be incredibly important in getting me to a place where I could think well and be successful. And the last thing I'd say is there are easy rules like lots of sleep, eat before you need to, but eat, modestly, moderation in almost all things, and all of that includes work. And I had been successful all my life because I got up earlier than everybody else, and I stayed out later than everybody else. And I found out that no matter how early I got up and no matter how late I stayed out, I wasn't beating people. And I found that focusing on being a better person was kind of the key for my success and my happiness.
Well said. Very well said. I concur with the process and the ideas that you've come to, or what I find with so many advisors, and quite honestly myself, when I took a long, hard look at where I was at after my father passed away, I realized, I need to take care of my health, my spirituality. Like those are the two top things in my relationship. Those kind of all pinned together a very different me. I'm a very different person than what I was 16 years ago. Before all that happened. And I appreciate you sharing about what you've done to really be a better person. And that's what really, quite honestly, what I think life is all about. It's becoming, not necessarily achieving and accomplishing, but it's becoming a better person. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah,
As
I'll just give you, can I give you one more perspective of that?
please.
Because I
Yeah,
want to
please.
use those words that you use. I believe that achievement and success are tied to how you, your contributions to the world. And I think the things between spirituality and health and focusing on what's true and authentic to you, then you have achieved. I can tell you that I've been fortunate to have really good opportunities to earn money. And I found as time went by and I got more and more and more, what I found was no matter how much I had, it was not enough. Money is not enough to make you happy, and particularly in a place like New York City. But truthfully, it's anywhere. And if you pursue things like glory to yourself, you find that you're never in a happy state. It's only when you focus on making other people happy that you reap all of the rewards. And that takes a long time to figure that out.
Yeah, I appreciate that. That's an interesting perspective that as you become, that is the achievement. I like it. It flips the script, right? It turns it upside down. What a great conversation to have, that as you become this person that you want to become, or God wants you to become, or your family is hoping you'll become, that you're then able to succeed and achieve and contribute to the world around you. That's great. This is, kind of builds to our next question, which is, as you achieve success at work, as you've been scaling your business and growing your own RIA, now helping other advisors to do this, what would you say your biggest struggle has been with keeping that balance we've been talking about? What would you say your Achilles heel is that might keep you from, really keeping that balance in check?
Yeah, I try to do too much. I'm an enthusiastic person. There's almost no idea I don't think is great. And by the way, not every idea is great. But what I found is that I do lose balance, and it affects my health. It affects my relationships with my family, with my friends. It affects my relationships with my business partners. And I found it out in a really simple way. I found there were two things that if I didn't have, I was kind of a jerk. And that was, I had to sleep. And I prided myself that I only slept 3 to 4 hours, maybe 5 hours a night. I thought that was something really to be proud of. What I found out was my ability to be successful in any dimension, whether it was physical, mental, or otherwise, was degrading because of those things. The other thing I found is I didn't eat. I just thought well, I'll work straight through lunch because I'm going to get more done. What I found is that I didn't get more done. I'm one of those people whose blood sugar goes up and down and up and down, and if I don't eat right, my ability to think logically and to influence others by either educating or sharing with them goes down. And the difference for me was enormous. And the biggest difference was, it wasn't so much about how much money I made or what promotion I got, although I did. It's funny, when you stop focusing on that stuff, it just comes to you. But for me, it was, what was the relationship like with my children, and what was the relationship like with my spouse, and what was the relationship with my brothers and sisters, and what were the relationships with my friends? And they have become so much more fulfilling with the change in focusing from myself and what kind of things I could traditionally achieve, as opposed to how do I make myself better for all the people that are meaningful to me.
Yeah, it's interesting how sleep habits, eating habits affect you so much, right? From becoming that person that's, the best version of yourself. I think this is where a lot of the, it's not just this industry, but almost any industry. I've got to overwork myself in order to be successful. Then I'll calm down and I will arrange myself, organize myself so I have a better balance and then move forward. Where I found this is where a lot of advisors, business owners, they fall into this trap and they actually really struggle to get back out. I'm glad you made it through, and I have had my own personal struggle with it. But again, it's this idea: if you don't have to do it this way, you don't have to fail in this way in order to learn the lesson. But I'm so glad that both you and I have had to, painstakingly learn this lesson. But there's so many out there who still feel, I've got to be the first in and the last out in order to get there. And it just can create addictive behaviors and habits that are really, really negatively affecting you. So I'm glad that you bring this up and that you've made it through, Paul.
Well, it was a struggle, right? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, life is a struggle too. And as I said, one of the things that's great about being 65 is you can see this struggle and you can see what's good about it. Well, what's good about it is you become a much better person and a much better human. You can't find those things out if you're doing everything accidentally right. But most of us, and my own life in particular, I've made an unbelievable number of stupid, self-sabotaging things. And I look back, and in all of them, I believe that there were things. I'm not saying that every person I ever interacted with was always perfect and I was always wrong. I'm just saying that no matter how bad they were, there were things that I could have done and said differently that might have made the situation better. And so I try to focus less on what the issue is with someone where I have a conflict and more along the lines of, okay, if I really look at myself, what are the things that I can do that would make this situation better? Look, sometimes you're with miserable people and they do miserable things. And one of the things in life is to call people on that. But I find that I am such an imperfect person that almost always when I peer within, I can find something I can do better.
Yeah, I appreciate that perspective. Very humble and self-improving, perspective on life. What do you think other advisors, you're an advisor to advisors as you help them to find capital and grow their businesses that way, and even exit their businesses as needed. We'll get into that in a second. But as you've been doing this, have you been in the industry? You've had great experience here. You've seen lots of changes 38 years ago till now. What do you think is some of the biggest issues for other advisors who are business owners to have this balanced growth, keep their balance while also scaling and growing their business?
Yeah, first thing that we talk to people about is how they work. Oftentimes we sit down with advisors and say, tell us about what you're doing, and then what do you want to do to improve your business going forward? And almost always they say the same thing: I'm going to do more of what I'm doing. And we always try to tell them, like, look, the definition of crazy is doing the same thing and expecting a different result. Number one. Number two, it almost is never a position. And part of that is because of the way our business works. And this unfortunately is a place that sometimes attracts addictive personalities, right? Because there is an automatic reward every time you go and make a call and get something else and you think, okay, that's good, that's success. No, it's not, right? Like, it depends on what you just did. And if you don't get clients the right way, and if you don't manage their business in the right way, and if you ultimately aren't successful. So the first thing that we really do is we take a survey of, okay, let's talk about what you do, what works and what doesn't work. And let's talk about what we can do that you can do differently. So it's the first thing is always looking at some work and saying, like, this is not a matter of you working more. I mean, maybe it is. Maybe there are some stress issues, and so you're coming late and you're leaving early. But most of the people in this business pretty dedicated, right? Like, they don't show up at 10:30 and leave at 2, and they don't, because their success oftentimes is which is reinforced all the time, is like, hey, stay in the office a lot of time and you sometimes get calls. And the truth is, if you add the hours that you stay in to find those calls, it's like 1% of the time. Like, how did that change your career? It didn't, and it won't. It's like waiting for the lottery ticket to hit. Like, maybe it will one day, but in the meantime, you may have thrown away all the important things to you. I always tell everybody, hey, look, there's never going to be a time in your life you're going to look back at it and say, like, I wish I hadn't have gone to my son's baseball game. If I had just worked a little bit harder, everything would have been different. But I guarantee you, when your son graduates from high school, you'll look back and say, there are a lot of meetings I went to that I would have been far better off spending my time with this young man who's now going out to change the world, and I feel really great about it. But gosh, I miss him, and he's never going to be 8 years old again. And I missed a couple of things in my older children, and I'm lucky enough to have a younger child, and a really big part of that. And it's the same for the businesses is, look, figure out not how to do more, but how to do less and do it more effectively. And you will have a force multiplier in driving your business. And a big part of that is surrounding yourself with friends and neighbors that you spend time with. And you'll find that those men and women find business for you and do all this stuff that you never do on your own. And I'm sorry, it's probably a little less structured than you wanted, but that would be my answer.
No apologies necessary. I think you nailed it. I think this is a big part of what advisors struggle with, because consciously they know they need to be there. They want to be there for their family. Subconsciously, they struggle, as you mentioned, with the addictive personalities, which I see every day. And the great thing is there's help. There's available, get the book, Achieving Balance, reach out to us if you're in that spot. And if you're not, that's a great place to not ever get to, right? Know where your weaknesses lie and watch out. But the fact that we can be more effective in less time has been proven over and over again. Like, this is science, because we tend to take out the fillers. We tend to quit multitasking and wasting the time. Some of the most effective time I ever have in a work week is the day or two before a vacation. Because I know I'm balanced, man. Like, I'm not doing any work on vacation. And so I'm super productive those few days because I know I have a timeline, right? But if we make that our daily, design, then I'm going to be home by a certain time, and you stick with it, off you go. Like, it's the same kind of principle. So I love this idea. You can't get the time back. So thank you for sharing that, Paul. I know that, you want to talk a little bit about Vestria and how you help advisors to grow their business in an inorganic way, like through funding and growing that way. We help them organically. And so there's a lot of, overlap that we have here as helping advisors. But tell us, what does Vestria do? How do you help advisors really keep their balance as they grow?
Yeah, thank you. That's very kind of you. And I'm super excited about it. I've been in the traditional space for most of my life, and I know it and understand it really well. And I'm really such a proponent of interestingly enough, I'm such a proponent of the independent space. I just think this is such a great business, and it's even better when you're independent and you can make your own decisions. There are scale issues that affect profitability, and so one of the things we wanted to do was to help advisors get to a place where they can grow their business in a sustainable way. And I think, Travis, that's one of the things. What's really interesting is you focus on the organic growth. We focus on the inorganic growth. And truthfully, you can't be successful if you don't focus on both. And we would say, as I think you would, focus on the organic growth first, and then money really makes a difference in your ability. Most advisors spend most of the money that they get. That's the irony. They're not great savers. They make quite a bit more money than the average person in America, but they don't have that much more because they tend to be over consumers. And so we try to focus on all of these things. And what we did is we looked at the market, and what we could determine is advisors were not taking enough of the cash flow and reinvesting it into the business. So the business was getting starved. So they don't have enough time to service the clients that they have, and they don't have enough time to set up a process and getting more clients. And so they have a tendency to after 15 years, and these numbers are all over the place, but it's about 15 years, advisors peak. And after that, they grow at the rate of the market or less. And they go from opening anywhere between 15 to 30 relationships a year to opening one. And obviously the attrition is more than one. And so what we've done is focus on in the independent space, which we think because of technology and because of ready capital will expand dramatically and double in the next 7 years. And so we try to make capital available to those advisors because we know how to get it, we know how to find it, we know how to structure it, and we know how to help them take it. It's not just getting money. Everybody already knows you just can't throw money at problems, but having the capital that you need to get to get the space that you need, to get the systems that you need, to pay the people that you want to have. If you're an advisor and you have several employees, those employees sometimes will leave, and that's incredibly disruptive. So we spend a lot of time focused on that, and I'd be happy to sit down and talk to anybody who wants to grow their business and what we can do. You can reach me at phatch, PHATCH, at Vestria, which is Vestria Capital.com. Thanks for giving me the time.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree with you more. Like the inorganic, the organic, you need to have all aspects, and you need to have a plan. It's interesting that you mentioned, advisors kind of plateau and that you deal with the leakage, right, of a client, moving to another advisor or firm. And you definitely want to stay in a growth mindset to prevent that. So I appreciate this discussion, Paul, and look forward to working with you more. And advisors, please reach out if you're interested in what Paul and Vestria Capital do. Very excited to have you here. Wait for this to really go live on the podcast. It's a very unique place to be. So thank you, Paul, for coming on the show and sharing with us your challenges, struggles, victories with balance.
Yeah. Thanks very much, Travis. I really enjoyed it, and I can see you're doing some great things for the people in this industry, and I wish you the best of luck, and I'm looking forward to doing some more things with you in the future.
Absolutely. Thanks everyone for listening. Like, share, subscribe. Maybe there's somebody out there who needs to hear what Paul has to say, and we're excited to continue bringing the Balance Advisor podcast to you now twice a week. And we always love to hear your comments. You can hit us back up here at Travis at Make Time Institute, and we'll talk to you next time. The Balance Advisor podcast. And remember, live life on purpose.